Good afternoon and welcome back to the third session of the day. I am Tejasa Vaidyanathan, pursuing my first year MBBS in Sri Madhusudan Sai Institute of Medical Science and Research. The theme of this session is the best practices in storage of pharmaceutical products. I would like to introduce our esteemed panelist, our moderator, Professor Vivek Padgaonkar, the founder of Paddy Advisory Services and former director of Project and Policy Organization of Pharmaceutical Producers of India. He is now an independent healthcare consultant working as an advisor to Indian and multinational companies in the pharma and medical devices sector. Prior to this, he had a long tenure at GSK with almost 2 decades in sales and marketing. Mr. Shankar Mehadia is the promoter and director of Micropark Logistics, Juvenor Healthcare and Juvenor Pharmaceuticals. Dr. Natarajan is the founder and managing director of Pronto Consultancy. Mr. Bhagoji Khanapure is the state drugs controller, government of Karnataka. He is a B.Pharm graduate. He is a B.Pharm graduate from Jawaharlal Nehru Medical College of Pharmacy in Belgaum. He joined the department in October 1991 as drug inspector in Bidar district. Over to Professor Vivek.
Thank you so much. I am personally privileged to be here at this holy place, and my compliments to the organizer for organizing such a brilliant event with relevant topics and all stakeholders. Our entire panel will be sure that these deliberations in these 2 days, today and tomorrow, will provide a lot of input for advocacy purpose to the industry and for government for action, maybe some implementable plan in the next budget session itself. Compliments to the management for creating such a brilliant, sustainable model of universal healthcare. In fact, the first policy of universal healthcare was written somewhere in 2008 when Dr. Srinath Reddy was the chairman of PHFI. And I think today what we have seen just now, all of us have taken a tour to the hospital, and it is amazing. And I think this model needs to be relooked by many people. So my compliments. My special thanks to the panelist, Dr. Bhagoji Khanapure, who has specially come all the way from Belgaum to ensure that he gives his thoughts to enlighten the audience, and my dear friends Shankar Mehadia and Dr. Natarajan. Thank you so much. I know that time is running short, so I would not like to take too much of time. In fact, I wanted to make a brief slide presentation, which I am dropping in the interest of time, so that we can give large amount of time to the fellow panelists. I will talk as a preamble on 3 important aspects. Pharmaceutical disparity in supply chain. The country has a huge network of pharmaceutical companies, around 3,000, and more than 10,500 manufacturing units. If you really see the compliance and the regulatory aspect of the established large companies is much higher compared to the small and SME pharma or MSME pharma. In fact, there's a pressing need to ensure that the smallest companies also try to meet up the regulatory and the quality compliance of the as per requirement of the law. The disparity between pharmaceutical distribution is also quite apparent. If we try to see the retail stores in our country, and if we try to compare to the rest of the part of the world, many countries, you can see the sophisticated models, whereas we have, by and large, convenience stores. So this is so far as the disparity is concerned. Then let me try to talk to you about pharmaceutical quality and supply chain. Yesterday night, I was clearing my mailbox, and what is being seen is that we try to concentrate on quality when it comes to the manufacturing, right? Manufacturing is not just processing the raw material and get the finished formulation. In fact, under control environment, when the stability tests are conducted, the product passes. And all regulators try to concentrate only on the quality of the product. But when it comes to the supply chain, when it comes to the distribution channel, hardly the quality is checked. The temperature and humidity are the critical factors. Definitely they are diligently managed in case of the manufacturing processes. But the real world challenges are quite altogether different, which need to really to be looked at. Sudarshan ji in my presentation, I talked about access to healthcare, and one of the important stages that he talked about, the the specific thing about the quality, which is an important, and that quality is not only in manufacture, but also need to be looked at the distribution channel. The last point in the preamble, I would like to talk about the supply chain complexity, which involves, good warehousing policies, good distribution practices. In fact, we have notified policy on this, but I have seen seldom inspection related to distribution, which occurs the way in which the inspection occurs at the other places. Transportation excellence, the best practices in storage and distribution, and somebody talked in the morning about, spurious stock. Internationally, we call it as SSFAC. Spurious, substandard, falsified, adulterated, and counterfeit. In fact, in India, we do not have proper definition of counterfeit drug as of now. Track and trace, we have got Natarajan, who will speak a lot on the areas of this, with reference to the insight from the consumer, insight from the healthcare specialist. So with this preamble, let me try to talk to the panelists. I would like to start with Bhagoji sir, who has specially taken time out to be here. Sir, when I was looking at your profile.
Hello?
Yes, one minute. When I was trying to see your contribution as an FDA, I have seen many areas like intensified surveillance on antimicrobial therapy, cautioning consumers about the NSQ drugs, investigation into pricing violation, thrust on NLEM, many initiatives you have taken. Would you like to give your thoughts to the audience, what are the initiatives that you have taken?
Thank you very much, Padgaonkar ji. Elrigu namaskara. So as a drug controller of the state, it is great honor and privilege to me to be here. I am sitting with the distinguished panelists here. Thank you very much, sir, inviting me here. And also audience also is here now. And most of the doctors also present over here. And KDPMA officials also here now. And my beloved Dr. B.R. Jagshetty, ex-drug controller, is also present. And thank you very much, sir, coming over here now. And this is not a first time I'm coming now. This is third time I'm coming now. I'm familiar to this place now. Thank you very much for this global healthcare conference now, once again. And as a drug controller, my first priority should be to give the good quality of medicine to the people of Karnataka, as well as outside Karnataka also now. So, sir told me that directly he went to sir antimicrobial resistance now. When I met Honorable Health Minister, present Health Minister C. Gundarao sir, and he called me that Khanapure, you do some initiatives regarding antimicrobial resistance. There is a lot of issues are there because so many in the medical shops, they are selling third generation antibiotics now. So third generics, everybody knows that. Cefaxin, ceflaxin, ciprofloxacin, all these drugs are selling without a prescription of RMP. Yes, sir, I will make one seminar to everybody now. I decided to take care of everybody now. And myself and Health and Family Welfare Department and my officers also taken into the consideration. We have made one big organization in my office also now. And it is, sir, it is aired by in the, what we call that? YouTube also we channeled, so that one is, live channel is there. Around 12,000 people are registered on that day. Sir, on that day we have taken that incidents that I have given my clear instructions to all the officers now to see that those medicals are selling the higher antibiotics without a prescription. Straight away you take action against them now. You go stringent violations if occurred and you have to inform to us now. Apart from that, I had told now to minimum weekly, one medical should be a thoroughly checked purchase and sales particulars also now, sir. I told them, and to see that you punish the culprits now, those who are selling without prescription now. Ultimately, the health hazard should not be there in the public now. You have to take care of the public now. Otherwise, everybody is blaming on us only, no, drugs control department, you are not doing anything now. So on that basis, we have taken lot of issues, sir. Even though I can share that now, even though I am expressed to the Honorable Health Minister now, he's taken care that, okay, you have done wonderful job, he's also appreciated us also now. And I have forgotten that our Principal Secretary also taken initiative now, he also taken the care of that also now. And the whole team of my drugs control department as well as the health and family affairs department is taken care of that to avoid such things now. That is one thing, sir.
Yeah.
Then another one you told me that, which one, sir?
About the price.
Price monitoring.
PMRU.
Sir, PMRU, it is one of the price monitoring resource unit. It is one of the NPPA. It is conducted one, initiated one, that what we call steps now. And Karnataka is one of the state now. What we have taken now, we have conducted PMRU. This is Honorable Health Minister, Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi sir, is given that you have to conduct survey now. Sahi Dam, Sahi Aushad. That one of the app is there, sir.
Yes, yes. Sahidam.
Sahidam. That is one of the app is there. You have to see that all the drugs should be, it is in the generic names now. Whatever the generic names is available now, you have to see the verification of what MRP price is written in the packets or strips now. So we are taking care of that also now. One of the, my senior most officer is taking care of that. We are finding out that we are finding in the, not in the wholesale area. We are going for retail area where the DPCO violations are there or not. Because MRP is printed by, MRP is fixed by the NPPA now, National Pricing and Authority, whether they are properly they have printed or not. If it is any violations are there, we are going to take care and we are informing to NPPA to take against the manufacturer now. In this regard, we have taken so many cases and we informed to the NPPA chairman also, sir. NPPA chairman.
Yeah.
And based on that, they are going to issue the show cause notices to the manufacturers and they are taking care of that, sir.
I think it's a very good initiative to ensure that, in access to healthcare and access to medicine to the people, a proper monitoring has to be done. I think it's a good step. Thank you so much. I'll come back to you again, sir.
Yes, sir.
Shankar, I would like to request you to throw your light on the current distribution practices that you see in different pharma companies.
At the outset, I would say I am feeling blessed to be here at this holy place. And just now we had a round of hospital and the campus of this institute. And I should say, when the government fails in providing education and healthcare to the poor, then the messenger of gods like Satya Sai Baba and Madhusudan Sai came to this world and providing these services. So I'm very much blessed to be here. Coming to the question of supply chain. So India, as you know, is a very vast country with such a huge population. We have some 10 lakh villages, and I should say, being a person from distribution, we are proud that in each village we are able to provide the quality medicine. Even in the remotest village, anybody can get a medical shop where they can buy the medicines required. So current practices now are, it involves manufacturers, wholesalers, retailers, and patients. So starting from manufacturers, they generally appoints a state-wise C&F agents. There they store their medicines, which is then given to the distributors in every district, every town. And these distributors provide and supply medicines to around 7 lakh chemists in India right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. So these are the current practices, traditional practices. But during the last decade, lot of e-pharmacies have come, then retail chains have emerged. So from C&F, directly supplies are going to these e-pharmacies and retail chains. Then one more channel is like this Jan Aushadhi institution promoted by our Honorable Prime Ministers. So through tendering process, the goods are supplied to them also. So it is a very complex exercise involving many stakeholders. But in India, we can say the supply chain is reaching to the last mile patient, and we should be proud of it.
Thank you so much, Shankar. In fact, let me add to what Shankar has said. I remember when this Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Yojana first took off, Bhagoji Sahib, in 2008, I remember Mr. Ashok Kumar was the secretary of Department of Pharmaceutical. And he reached us out and requested, sir, we require your help to have at least one store per district in the country. And that time, we had almost 628 districts in the country. Today, we have got 707 districts in the country. And Sudarshan Jain has spoken about PMJAY. We have 10,000 stores, marching toward 25,000. And let me tell you, I have interacted with the CEO of PMJAY. It is a self-revenue generated model. One. Second thing, all products that this PMJAY gets is from WHO GMP compliant plants, which is noteworthy. Having said that, as I was discussing with Mr. Rambabu, one of the things that we found that, as I told you, that temperature and humidity control are the important thing, critical parameters for maintaining quality. Now, when it comes to the real world, you go to place like Bihar, you go to place like, Andhra Pradesh, where the temperature is highest, or to the places like Bombay, where the humidity is highest, product does not sustain, which needs to be really looked at. I think that's the one which could be the message from this. Thank you so much, Shankar. I'll come back to you, we have time. Hari, I know that you have got a lot of stuff to talk. You can talk a lot, but at the moment, can you just enlighten us about the initiatives that you have taken on track and trace? When I say track, it means looking at the formulation right from the raw material till the end in the value chain. And when you say trace, we would like to trace counterfeit, maybe super spurious, maybe substandard. Would you like to, audience would like to know your thought process.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. And as sir rightly talked about, if you valuation of the Indian pharma industry as per various reports, I would say it's close to 2 lakh plus crores. But if we include generics, we include multiple hospital sales, and which doesn't get tracked that much as rightly mentioned by sir also, our pharma market would be more valued more than close to 3 lakh crores. So that's the valuation of the Indian pharma market in terms of the brands put together with more than 3,000 companies, more than 50,000 distributors in India. If I talk about a city like Jabalpur, Jabalpur has around 80 distributors covering close to around 90 to 120 retailers in that particular city. I'm talking about only from a Jabalpur perspective. Similarly, if we go to bigger metros, the distribution network is very high. And in medical language, if I talk about, if normally in pharma management, we have marketing, sales, multiple things. If marketing and sales would be the eyes and ears of the industry, distribution is the heart. Because without heart, you cannot function.
That's very good.
And that's how distribution is a very, very critical aspect, because it pumps whatever is required at various points of time. And that's what is very critical for a brand to sustain for the last mile delivery as such. If I talk about a little bit from a perspective, as sir talked to me about saying that this is a session that I would like to take. So what we did was we spoke to around say close to 500 consumers, and also we spoke to around close to 130 plus doctors in order to understand this track and trace mechanism and the QR code, which is now in I think more than 300 brands, the top 300 brands have that. The challenge is that yes, doctors, probably the pharma companies have been marketing in such a way for counterfeiting and multiple things, so they have been knowing about it. But when it comes to consumers, I would say that out of 500 consumers, around only I said 50 consumers said, "Acha, aisa bhi kuch hota hai." Okay, we know that. But other 450 consumers were not aware of it. When we showed them the pack, on the back of the pack, the QR code and multiple things, so they said, "Acha, okay, this is something that is new to us." So definitely from a healthcare perspective, I would say that track and trace mechanism is a very critical aspect for the industry. Not only you can track the source from where it is sourced till the patient. So there can be a lot of insightful data can be created. We can also create data wherein we can understand whether that drug has been sold without prescriptions or with prescriptions, whether the retailer has given some other molecule or even kind of a different substitution in case what the doctor has written. So multiple things can be connected from a trace and track mechanism. Right from the batch number to the expiry date, and definitely a lot of companies today are in India who work on this track and trace mechanism. Globally, this track and trace mechanism is close to $2.1 billion, and which is growing at a CAGR of close to 17%. So that's the, yes, so that's the amount of money, and that is there from the perspective of track and trace mechanism as such.
So thank you so much, Shari. In fact, Schedule H2 comprises of 300 brands, which covers all top 300 brands, which can take care of around 31% of the industry, for which track and trace mechanism has been made compulsory. And I think industry has followed that. But as you see, the insight is that even though it is followed in principle, but practically it is not being seen properly. Dr. Bhagoji, sir, coming to you, that when I was looking at the website of FDA Karnataka, and when I compared with the few other states, I found that your inspectors are systematically going to the market, carrying out some samples from the market and trying to send it to the laboratories. And then the laboratories try to test it, drug testing laboratories based on the parameters, of the Form 13 or so. They try to see the product is failing or product is passing, like say identification, assay test, the dissolution test, disintegration test, etc. The issue is that when certain samples are sent to CDL, which is the topmost authority as per Drug and Cosmetic Act, many times company gets, the clearance certificate. And then company manufacturers say that, sir, this is not our problem. This may be because of the storage, maybe because of the distribution, maybe because of the temperature. I'm sure you will be in a position to throw more light as how do you look at it, what are the penal provisions which are available in Drug and Cosmetic Act, and what is that you have seen recently in last 6 months. Over to you, sir.
That is true, sir. Actually, what happened now, we are enacting drugs and cosmetics, it is Central Act now. We don't have Karnataka's any state acts now, except Maharashtra is having their own rules and regulations now. But no state is having their own rules and regulations now. We are enacting only drug and cosmetic by the central only, the Central Act now. Whatever based on that, our officers are going to take the legal samples and testing now. After testing, whatever it may be, whatever the parameters it fails now, here it is DCGI, given the guidelines, DCC guidelines, if it fails something, dissolution, disintegration, assay, description, whatever, that is divided into category. This is a statutory body made that 48 DCC guidelines are there. What the drug authority should take action when the not of standard quality is received. If assay fails, if suppose paracetamol is there, assay it is less than 50%, whatever it may be, we consider that it is a category A defect, which is 100% prosecution, we are going to file the case. Before that, we give sufficient opportunity to the manufacturer now. If we are not going to give the sufficient opportunity, they are questioning us now. So, Act is provided them now to challenge the test report. And this is not a conclusive evidence. Whatever the state drug laboratory is given, that is not conclusive evidence now. If they are going to challenge the test report,
Go to CDL.
then CDL. Whatever the CDL it gives, it is conclusive evidence. Either it is a pass or fail. Sir told me that is the difference. Sir telling that it is not of standard quality, that is okay, fair enough. If it is standard quality, earlier we already taken so many actions now, where seizure has taken place, and whatever it may be taken now, this is entirely vain now. If it is standard quality now, then we have to release that product also now.
Absolutely.
Then this is one of the major problem we are facing now. And another thing, sir, you sir rightly says that there is a difficulties are facing now to channelize each other now. Here it is what happened now. India is bigger country now. So here it is distribution channel. There's a lot of problems are there. Integrity is not there by the interstates now. Communication gap is always there, sir. If suppose I am the Karnataka, I cannot hold the other Himachal Pradesh stock here now. They can sell anywhere in India, sir. It is possible now. So what happened now, whenever we are going to address to the concerned drug controller now, that people are proactively, they have to take action now, sir. And what happened now, here it is when we are going to write now, we are not getting reply for that now. And we are doing, sir, whatever the guideline, based on the guidelines, whatever issued by the DCGI now, we honor that. We honor that, accordingly we are acting on that now. And more than, this year I am given permission around more than 120 cases we are filing now in Karnataka now. And it is proud to say that I am not exaggerating myself now. As a drug controller, I am saying that in that I am proud to say that Karnataka manufacturers are less. We are filing case against them now. All are outside states only now. It is proud to KDPMA. KDPMA president is here now. I congratulate Dr. Harish is here now. Congratulate Harish. We are filing the cases against all the outside state manufacturers now.
I think it is nice to know that you follow the path of natural justice to the industry. It is good to know. And I'm sure you're not doing protectionism for Karnataka than the rest of the thing.
Definitely, sir, definitely. Yeah. And another one thing, here it is what the people are thinking that Janaushadhi, whatever the drugs gets now, is low quality drugs now. Don't think in that manner now. That generic drugs also, it is a quality medicine now. And affordable prices, when comparatively the generic medicine, comparative to branded medicine, it is lesser price now. Then people are thinking that why it is a 10 rupees, why it is that 50 rupees now. The lack of awareness, education is not there. But my sincere request to all the people here, those who are sitting over here now, to see that go to Janaushadhi medical shops and purchase there. And if anything you have now, we are available in all the states drug controllers now to care of that regarding the quality of the medicine, sir.
Excellent.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you. In fact, as I told earlier, that in Janaushadhi also, the quality of medicine is guaranteed because they get it from WHO GMP compliant plant. I think Dr. Hari wants to contribute.
Yeah, absolutely. As sir rightly said, there were two cases which we came across in the last few years. One, as you rightly said, that now a manufacturer in Delhi can sell it even in Tamil Nadu or Karnataka. So one of the rare case studies that came about was a brand, the internal sales was lesser than what was reported. So when they went for an inside decision and when they found out what's happening, the manufacturer manufactured certain brand under the same brand name and was selling in some other state. Because the MOQ was done, so whatever the company, whatever his capacity was there, so he started giving that to some other state. He didn't sell in the state where they were strong. He was selling in some state where their numbers was less or their presence was not so much great. Second point to what sir said about Janaushadhi, yes, I agree with you. We recently completed a full generic study analysis, and where we found out that 50% plus consumers were today looking at Janaushadhi as a big going and buying medicines, especially acute therapies. Cardiology and anti-diabetic is something which still they still believe on the pharma companies or the branded medicines. But definitely the acute therapies is something which we see a lot of buying pattern amongst the consumers, including your protein supplements and protein powders also, which gets sold in most of the Janoshiri stores.
Yeah. Thank you, Hari. Thank you so much for enlightening on this topic. Shankar, I would like to request you, care and control are two important elements of an effective management. We would like to know what type of care and control being exercised, particularly from storage and distribution angle. You know, Dr. Varun Gupta is here. In India, 646 medicines are prescribed. And in these 646 medicines are having more than around 1 crore SKUs. 1 to 1.5 crore SKUs. Question to you is that when you say care and control, there's always chance of mix-up. How do you ensure that this mix-up doesn't come? What care is being taken? What controls are being exercised by various companies? Because you have been having a lot of companies for the distribution. Over to you.
Since we have a very large number of SKUs, so there is always a chance of cross-contamination. So nowadays, the warehouses are designed by the expert professionals. So we design the storage bins accordingly. And we have many intelligent tools for that, like one we use, every company uses ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning Software. Then we have WMS software, which is warehouse management software, which runs on barcoding. So each and every SKU is barcoded and picked from that particular bin. So the mix-up can be avoided. Then other thing we are using is IoT, Internet of Things, and many other tools for demand forecasting, so that not much needed inventory is stored at the warehouses, so reducing the chances of mix-up. So there is a clear-cut separation between all the products by making into a different bins and controlled through barcodes. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your input on this topic. Dr. Bhagoji, I would like to request you to make it known to the audience that DCGI regulators, they are focusing again and again quality. Now we have got revised Schedule M requirement, which is quite close to WHO GMP requirement. However, very less work has been done so far as the good distribution practices or good warehousing practices. Have you taken some initiative in Karnataka at least for this particular area?
Why not Karnataka? This is the proactive measures are already taken by the DCGI now. Earlier it was a Schedule M now. Now today it is a Schedule L is also there now. And Schedule M is there now. We are implementing now. And what drug controller DCGI, Bhagoji sir, what proactive steps are taken now. So always earlier only the state authorities are going for inspection, sir. Nowadays the DCGI has taken the decision that RBI inspection, risk-based inspections, they are taken. That means central and state should go together without any notice, surprisingly, to visit the concerned manufacturers and verify how they are manufacturing, what they are doing, and what are the raw materials are using, and how they are manufacturing, what are the quality maintaining. We are based on that only, we are taking care of that. And whatever the joint inspection is there now, based on that only, the authority, the DCGI has given authority to the state authorities, whatever you want to take action now, based on the contraventions found on that, you take action on the concerned manufacturer now. So we are doing, sir. This is one of the parts, sir. So DCGI is already taken now. Apart from that, few incidents happened in recently in India. I cannot name that name now, states, sir, because diethylene glycol, propylene glycol. So something happened now. It is export-oriented cough syrup is for sent to some other states now that export oriented. A lot of issues going on there now. And today, that proactive measures we have taken that those who are going to manufacture cough syrups, in my state, how many people are there? I know this, sir. And what Tamil Nadu is having, they are going to take care now. Now, the DCJ once again issued that propylene glycol and DEG, diethylene glycol, those who are manufacturing now, to go for again joint inspection, to surprise inspection, how they are procuring the raw material, PG and DEG, PG and DEG, propylene glycol and diethylene glycol, which is the major active products in the using for cough syrup. So you verify that CO also, certificate of analysis also, CAPA, and whatever they are going to take that. And it is issued entire India also, sir. So we are going to take 15 days the joint inspection, sir, once again. That.
Okay, thank you so much. In fact, this move of DCGI is a consequence of recent visit of DCGI Dr. Raghuvanshi to CDL Calcutta. And when he inquired about the resources, initially he was on the impression that CDL Calcutta has got a lot of resources and there is not much work. Whereas he found that a lot of samples, particularly for the export, particularly for the cough syrup, having India got a bad name 6 months back, he said it's flooded. I think he has initiated that joint inspection.
Sir, here it is basically he's a government analyst now earlier. He's a director of CDL now. He knows where is the lacunas are there, how to solve the problems now. That's why he's taken active measures, sir.
Thank you. Hari, my submission to you is, when we compare best in class in supply chain, when you compare best in class in pharma versus best in class in FMCG versus best in class in global, observation is that best in class in pharma for supply chain is far poorer. In the process, the cost of supply chain, in fact, in the morning, Sadhguruji did say that supply chain cost has to be brought down, which is an important element. When we compare, we see that even supply chain cost is high compared to this. Can you share your thoughts on this area?
Sir, I would like to mention on two things. One, I don't want to name the company, but it's among the top. They have a wide distribution network. Their products are also available in places where the top companies' brands are not available. And they have achieved that kind of a distribution model and approach in such a way that their costings have come down a lot. So it also depends upon individual companies in terms of how they want to put the distribution into place. Like for example, sir, globally, most of the pharma companies have a track and trace mechanism. In India, it's not everybody who has a track and trace mechanism. In one of the companies that we worked with, they had a manufacturing of a dairy powder in Denmark, and it was sold in China. When they do a track and trace mechanism, how the entire things moved on, at every point of time through the track and trace, they can find out where the product has reached, in which container it is, also to find out which breed of cow it has come from. So that's the level of information that not pharma companies, but FMCG companies work a lot with the track and trace mechanisms. And going forward, we definitely see that Indian pharma is one of the most buoyant, we're having good growth rates. I think our distribution setup will also improve a lot as we go along. We definitely see a lot of consolidation happening among the stockists also, which used to be a number of stockists earlier. Now there are companies who have come in and purchased stockists in some cities, and they have created their own network out of it. One of the companies going for an IPO very soon. And that company product was also available in a pharmacy which was nearby to this institute. So, because they had that distribution model. So that's how pharma will definitely going to work in the distribution model, moving to the rural market and to the down market, what we consider as metro, class 1, class 2 and beyond. Class 2 and beyond would be something which will be very critical. Certain companies have done very successfully and are gaining momentum in the distribution channel in those areas as well.
Thank you. In fact, one of the research indicates that top 30 cities in India contribute to almost around 60% of Indian pharma business.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Now I would like to ask last question, and then of course we'll try to wind up. We always say that investment in technology is a must. Yesterday's technology become obsolete much faster. Having said that, we need to see the penetration of technology in particularly in supply chain, distribution or logistic. Shankar, would you like to throw some light, because you are handling so many companies? How are the companies, which are the companies which are technologically advanced for distribution, which are on par, which are at lagger?
So we can divide or rate companies in 3 categories, A, B, C. So if I want to say the standards set by company A, so they have very robust SOPs for every function or every action which has to be taken in a warehouse or during transit. So they are very closely monitored and audited, not only by the internal auditors as well as external auditors. So there is a very strict and robust mechanism. So they ensure that the medicine which the patients are taking, the patient get a good quality medicine which is supplied in a controlled temperature using data loggers and temperature controlled transportation. So these are the high rated companies. Then we have some mediocre companies which are slightly lesser than these standards. So they will observe GDP and good distribution practices at warehouse, but they don't have control on transportation because it is through third party. Transportation is generally third party. So there they lose control. And then the third category is like MSME or regional players. So they operate in their locality. So they use the whatever resources available and they don't care about the quality of the medicine till the end consumer. So this is the scenario.
Thank you so much. I think it's quite good message because you are quite close to the industry. Day in and day out you are practicing. Dr. Bhagoji sir, would you like to say what is on technology government is doing, what government should do in the area of distribution particularly?
Government is taking only for their sake only now, not for private now. In government hospital, they are taking care of everywhere now. Whatever the drugs they have purchased now, they have the very good distribution channels in Karnataka now. That is Karnataka State Medical Corporation supplies there now. They have their own standards now. They have maintained SOPs here now. What are the drugs are required for 1 year now, and how it is distribution channel should be given now. They have maintained very well now. And regarding, even though it is sometimes it is a shortage of medicine is there now, that is always it is going in the government sector now. But in private sector it is not like that. If you are going to give 100%, no, that the Cipla people, Cipla, it is a bigger company now. How much you require, they are going to supply everywhere now. Because these are the multinational companies now. Suppose Biocon is here now. It is proud to say that Biocon is available, is situated in Karnataka now initially. They are now biological products, how much they are exporting to other countries now. And even though it is, I proudly say that the India, around 200 countries, we are exporting all types of medicines now, all types of medicines. And we are lacking behind only where we don't have the raw materials, sir. And still we are depending on China now. Because here it is so many problems are there, sir, here. For granting what we call that bulk drugs. So pollution control board, so many permissions are required, land is required. Most pollution is control department, sir, because lot of waste is going on there. That's why the API is not here in India, as well as in Karnataka is also, sir. But still I think that Hyderabad, Vijayawada is one of the best. They have done it now. And Himachal Pradesh has also done it, sir. They have their own pharma parks they are manufacturing there. But we are also in Karnataka, we are trying to get that kind of pharma park, but still the space is not available here. Near the Bangalore, we are searching for that now.
Okay, thank you so much. I think, Hari, would you like to talk something on technology in the area of distribution? What would be your key message to the government? If you can give 1 or 2 points.
Only 2 points that I would like to say is every company invests on R&D, new product development. I think technology in distribution is something which is now critically required. Because of the fact, 2 things that I would like to say here. One is for the last mile delivery. I think which e-Pharmacies and Dr. Varun Gupta will be talking about, which they have been successful in doing it. In certain cities, for example, we see that certain products are not available. Whereas I would not say counterfeit, a local generic player, which I don't want to take, is what is available there. So I think investing more on technology related to distribution, setting up a good distribution network. I think Government of India is also working a lot with the healthcare. I think that would be the key message going forward.
Shankar, would you like to give 2 points, 1 to the industry, 1 to the government on the area of distribution and supply chain?
Yeah, we need lot of support from government in setting up logistic parks. Then there are lot of medicines and vaccines and critical care medicines which require cold storages, and this requires heavy investments. So there are no subsidies in this sector. So my request to the government is to have logistic parks designated for, say, pharma, for distribution, and some subsidies for this cold chain vehicles, so that we can transport to the last patient in rural area through cold chain mechanism. So this is our expectation.
Thank you. Dr. Bhagoji, sir, last question to you. What would be your message to the industry on the distribution area?
Manufacture good quality.
Distribution.
They have to take care that from manufacturer to consumer to get the medicine in right time and right price. We forgotten here, price also is one of the major important here now, because more than 30,000 manufacturers are there now. They have to take care of that. First to Indian people now. And even though we are exporting to so many countries now, but I'll appreciate that those who are the entrepreneurs are here now. You people, you sir, you are especially. I'm grateful to you, sir. You are providing good quality of medicines to the Indian people now. So my sincere request to all the entrepreneurs now to go more and more good quality of medicine and affordable price, give at right time and right price.
Thank you so much. In fact, I'm thankful to entire panel. We have a regulator who has been practicing day in and day out. We have a supplier, who is a vendor who is in the market day in and day out, and we have a researcher. I think from data to the market stage, we have covered all. And thank you so much for your time. Let me tell you, Hari has not been well since morning, but despite having temperature, he ensured that he participated, though the session was delayed. Thank you so much, Hari, especially. Thank you so much, and over to you, Venugopal. Thank you very much.
We thank all the panelists for being here with us today and actively participating in this conference. May we invite Dr. Vasudev Upadhyay, Medical Superintendent of Sri Madhusudan Sai Institute of Medical Sciences and Research, to present a token of love and gratitude to all the panel members.
Sir,
Mr. Bhagoji, Khanapure. Professor Vivek Padgaonkar. Mr. Shankar Mehadia. Dr. Natarajan. We request all the panel members to pose for a group photograph. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the fourth session. I am Rohit Yadav and I am pursuing my first year MBBS in Sri Madhusudan Sai Institute of Medical Sciences and Research. Now we will have a discussion on the topic last mile medicine delivery through e-pharmacies and other tech-enabled services. In relation to our ongoing theme of sustainable growth through innovation in the pharma industry. The panelists of the session are Dr. Varun Gupta. Dr. Varun Gupta is leading the medical affairs team of 1mg as the Vice President. He graduated with an MBBS degree from MP Shah Medical College, Jamnagar, and received his degree in MD Pharmacology from Jawaharlal Nehru Medical College, AMU, Aligarh. Dr. Gupta has worked as a healthcare provider in medical relief camps at Bhuj, the epicenter of Gujarat earthquake in 2001. Dr. Varun brings in his 10-year experience and expertise in clinical healthcare to help create authentic, credible, and trustworthy content. Our next panelist of the session is Mr. Kamalpreet Saluja. Mr. Kamalpreet Saluja has over a decade's experience with 8+ years in managing B2C growth and product assessment in digital space. He is currently leading growth and new business initiatives for Flipkart Health Business and previously led e-diagnostic business and category management for e-pharmacy at Tata 1mg. He has been awarded with academic qualification from premier educational institutes such as Indian Institute of Management, Shillong, and the University of Melbourne, Australia. Now, our moderator for this session is Dr. Ajit Parulekar, Director, Goa Institute of Management. He is also a professor of marketing and healthcare management. He established the Healthcare Management Program in 2013. Dr. Parlekar has consulted with various corporations and departments of the Government of Goa, India Post, UNDP, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and many private sector organizations. He has taught at various leading business schools, including SPJ in Mumbai, few of the new AIIMS, Antwerp Management School, Belgium, and Southampton University in the UK. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for those wonderful introductions. At the outset, let me just say that the lay of the land here and the kind of campus that you have is absolutely stunning, right? And the philosophy behind the way the institution is run. I met a lot of people who are volunteers here. So what I think I'm going to take back is a very different model of business. Yeah, so I thought I'll first put that out and think, congratulations. I'm very, very impressed. And I'm sure all the people who've come here have been very impressed by the way the institution is run, the philosophy behind the institution, and the overall sustainability and societal contribution. I'm not going to get into, and I'm no expert on e-pharmacies. We have two people who are leading experts, so I'm not going to do too much of a prelude. I'm not going to tell you about what is happening in e-pharmacies. I'm going to straight away get into the act and put them on the spot. To start off, what I'll do is, Dr. Varun Gupta has been, in the whole e-pharmacy evolution in India, I can say right almost from the infancy. And therefore, why don't we start off by you, Dr. Varun, telling us about what's been the evolution so far, and anything else that you'd like to add, because I'm sure we have a lot of MBBS students here. They'd like to know what the evolution has been like and where are we right now with e-pharmacies.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I think, as you rightly said, it's a place where you feel, thank you very much for inviting, and it's a different model of healthcare, and it's giving access to healthcare in a different, reimagining how healthcare can be delivered, right? So that's the thought that is coming in. And I'm just connecting back to 2013-14. I think in general, I'm just setting the context. We have seen that when we got independence, we were dependent on pharma import. We got almost self-sufficient at 1990. Pharma got evolved. 2000, we were exporting. We became the pharmacy of the world. We started exporting pharma drugs to the world. So from dependency on import to export and becoming the pharmacy of the world. Now what is happening in that period is also companies and entrepreneurs were reimagining how pharmacy as a service can be delivered, right? Imagine for any retail service you encounter, you would have a shoe shop where you can sit and purchase the shoes, right? You have every retail shop is an experience, whereas pharmacy in general was not being imagined as an experience. Over a period of time, pharmacist became more like person, an expert, but doing more transactional services than the counseling or all of other services which he is being trained for. So he's more focused on cutting the bills and all those things. So how do you reimagine pharmacy? That is pharmacy service. Is pharmacy only expected to give you medicines? Is that the only thing which they can do? Or are there some models across the globe where pharmacy is delivered in a more structured manner? So imagine I went to one of this institution in Dubai where when I entered the pharmacy in that hospital, there was no counters. There were no medicine stack counters. And there was only pharmacist sitting like a counselor or a consultation room, right? Now, a pharmacist was having interaction with a patient, was explaining, looking at the prescription, explaining the patient that these are your antibiotics, you need to take those antibiotics, why it's important not to leave the antibiotics in between, so on and so forth. And in between the process, somebody at the back end was packaging the medicine for that person. And within that interaction of 30 minutes, the medicines were also on the table, packed in the packet, given to the patient. But the entire experience of a patient and a pharmacist changed from a shop to a consultation. right? Imagine when you go to a hospital, the entire hospital, you go to a doctor's cabin, that's a service you are taking. You have an expert in mind, you sit with that counter. In the same hospital, when you go to a pathology lab, still you think that you are going to a specialist place. You go to a pharmacy shop, you just go to a shop, right? From a expert interaction to a shop. So the relationship becomes transactional at that point. So that is where we started thinking that can a pharmacy experience be reimagined? Can we revisit the pharmacy experience? So this is where we started doing, and at 1MG it just happened that when we started putting things together, how do we make a pharmacy experience? But before that, I think there are a lot of students. Have you used, which health tech platform you have used recently? In public infrastructure, private infrastructure, anything which comes to your mind that healthcare services being delivered to you digitally, or there was a digital interface in delivery of that healthcare service? Sorry? Practo. I mean, for me, at scale, what has happened is COVID vaccination. Whatever COVID vaccination, we talk about distribution of vaccination, distribution medicines, but everything in COVID vaccination was being tracked using CoWIN as the backbone of the technology backbone of You can track where vaccination happened, what was the side effect that was happening, because everything was built on a technology stack. Technology stack was the baseline. So for example, this is a physical infrastructure. This is a physical infrastructure. Everything built on this is, if physical infrastructure is strong, base is strong, then you can build a lot of other services on this piece. In CoWIN, the platform was very strong, and government digital public infrastructure was strong, and everything was put together on that. So when we started putting our digital blocks in place for doing the digitization of pharma supply chain, starting from the manufacturer to a distributor to a retailer and to the last mile delivery of the medicine to the patient house, we realized that there is no common registry of medicines. Every distributor and every pharmacy are talking to each other using the different terminologies. So for example, giving you an example, let's say paracetamol we all know, right? So there are 3,000 unique molecules approved in India. Fixed dose combination, single dose combination. And if you translate them to the brands, they become almost 200,000 brands, 2 lakh brands. Now, Calpol is a brand which is paracetamol. Other company would have another brand name and so on and so forth. Now, all this, there was no common registry for all these terminologies. Somebody was writing paracetamol with paracetamol as O, or somebody would write paracetamol P capital, L small, something. So there was no standardization. The starting point for us was to how do we create a registry of medicine which is standardized, which is well structured, which can talk to different touch points in the pharmacy supply chain. So we just started with that piece. We kind of digitized the entire pharmaceutical and connected it to the drug information. As a discovery, that how, if you want to discover about your medicines, know about the side effects, uses, prices, compare the pricing, just as a discovery, no fulfillment part to it, just discovery part of it. And we just launched it, and we realized that we have touched a niche need. People started downloading the app.
And this wasn't there otherwise in the, in the non-E domain as such?
No, in non-E domain, there was some companies doing work in the silos, but putting a consumer layer to this, consumer layer which becomes more consumable, less technical, and I realized this, I come from a very, very small town called as Abohar, is at the border of Punjab, Rajasthan and Pakistan. I realized that my father's pharmacist was using this app in 2014, before I joined, and we realized it's just penetration, the impact it can create on the ground is much immense, and people are seeking information about their medicine. But then the challenge was, how do we start creating standardized information, because we don't want to jump into self-medication, we want to be into the patient information side, not into the self. So that was the first building block, building the registry of the medicine. Then we started building the building block of fulfillment, that how do we digitize the warehouse piece, how do we build the fulfillment piece from warehouse back-end perspective, and then the front-end perspective that you can track your medicines, you can reorder your medicines. So we defined 7, 8 building blocks in the entire tech stack, started connecting that database, that's a tech stack into a seamless tech stack, and it took us a journey to kind of come to a point where it was, this tech stack can be used by multiple players also. So we also work with...
So it's open for all players to look at?
No, so there are some, so as we had worked with government and providing multiple APIs, so because at some point, why I took an example of COVID, because at some point 5 years, 10 years down the line, we would have unique health ID for each of us, and the public infrastructure and private infrastructure, digital health infrastructure would speak to each other. If I move from, let's say, Satya Sai hospital to another hospital in Bangalore, my records should kind of is a continuum of it. And for that, pharmacy is a block. For pharmacy is a block, so the work which we have done in the pharmacy, we have shared those learnings and insights with focus groups which are working on this piece. NHA is working, CDAC, Pune is working, so multiple organizations are working. So I'll just conclude on this. The points I'm making is, I foresee that the work that has been 10 years is just the beginning. Last 10 is just the beginning to reach to a point where we have this entire digital health infrastructure on which public, private players can interact, play, and can interact with each other. So that's where, and we are doing our own bit in that piece, in the larger scheme of things. So that's
superb. I think what you've done, you've set part of the context on the history, basically looking at what was the backend that needed to be done, and the backend not really for the organization alone, but a backend that would plug into everyone else. So on the provider side, you can backend, you'll have on the peer side as well as on the organization side. Yeah, and then you're saying, then came the fulfillment piece. I'll come back to, I have a couple of questions on that, but I thought let's just warm up first with Kamalpreet telling us about, you represent today Flipkart. And when you say Flipkart I'm sure is way better known than, 1mg that both of you did represent some point in time. But a lot of people don't really know that. How does Flipkart really fit in, with an e-pharmacy? So, taking from the start, the base that he's set right now, how would you bring it to today, what's happening?
Sure. At the outset, thank you for the organizers for having me here. Really a great experience, impressed by the infrastructure and the warmth of people that I've experienced here. Now, as Dr. Varun pointed out, the evolution of this e-pharmacy journey, and it started from just content at the heart of the offering, and now it has evolved into fulfillment, right? And if you talk about e-pharmacy per se, at the heart of it, the platform is actually technology, right? So technology is at the core of everything. So while we consider e-pharmacies to be, let's say, just doing the last mile delivery of medicines, but if you really go back, you look at the different pieces of technology that have been stitched together to enable that last mile delivery of medicines. Now coming to the point, yes, Flipkart, is probably one of the youngest players in the e-pharmacy domain, and but we feel that as an e-commerce platform, which is a horizontal spanning across multiple categories, right? We already have millions of consumers who are shopping from our platform, on multiple categories like apparel, mobile phones, electronics, right? And we feel that, so once, we have that platform, why not actually provide at least the healthcare offerings that, are there in the ecosystem, right? So as of now, we are doing medicines, but the idea is to basically span across various healthcare verticals. Coming to the, I think the synergies that Flipkart Health has with the Flipkart ecosystem, it is actually the customer base which resides in the tier 2 and beyond geographies, and also the amazing supply chain capability that we have at Flipkart, right? So if you're solving for last mile delivery of medicines, then you need to have the on ground as well as the technological infrastructure, right? And I don't know if a lot of people know about it, but the e-cart, which is one of the leading third-party logistic providers, is actually within the Flipkart group, right? So at Flipkart Health, we are leveraging what eCart has built over a period of years to actually reach the remotest of consumers in tier 3 and beyond geographies. Also, just on the supply chain model, right? So while we think about e-pharmacies as just being an online player, we are actually truly an omni-channel player. So we have 600 offline stores which are actually delivering medicines to these consumers. 70% of our fulfillment actually happens through these 600 odd offline stores who are present across India. So being a marketplace platform, being the technology leg of it, we are actually partnering with various stakeholders in the ecosystem, whether it is distributors, whether it is retailers, just to make sure that consumers get what they need.
Superb. What we have is we have 11 minutes to go. And therefore, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have quick questions and expect quick answers, right? And the concentration is primarily going to be on last mile medicine delivery than e-pharmacy alone. E-pharmacy we'll see as a tool. And just one thing I want is, I'm going to ask some questions to them. I'm expecting the students to prepare some questions. So in between, I'll stop asking questions and ask one or two questions from you guys to come in, okay? I just want to add a little bit for you to get a preview on this. When you're looking at last mile delivery of medicines, it does one of two things. One part that it does is that it brings convenience. That's what all of us are aware of. The second part is access. So there are people, especially the most vulnerable people. And vulnerable, I mean, either it's going to be elderly people, if there are only elderly parents living together, and kids are not there, and the older you get, your requirement of medicine alone kind of goes up substantially as compared to younger persons. Similarly, somebody who has, for want of or a better word, is unwell because they have either a congenital disease or they have, a long-term chronic disease that affects, let's say, mobility, quality of life, they are again vulnerable. So when you're looking at last mile, you're saying, how can we get access to these people through that last mile, okay? And the last part in vulnerable will also be, let's say, rural. If you're in a small village, closest pharmacy is, so many kilometers away, how do you kind of solve for that, right? So now with that kind of context, let me quickly ask, currently, what is the percentage or what is the kind of penetration that e-pharmacies have? I mean, what percentage of total medicines bought in this country would be this route?
There is some industry approximation around 5% to 10% total medicine delivery e-pharmacy segment. That's the overall pharmacy, retail pharmacy segment. That's the broader numbers. But that keeps kind of moving.
And where do you see that going, say, 10 years from now?
I don't see that, as Kamal mentioned, I see that models will evolve as an omni-channel models. So models, people want to access both physically, digitally. People do not want to access only physically. Okay. So this physical models would come throughout digital would go towards physical. So it's very difficult to say that what e-pharmacy does. That's
superb. So since you're saying omni-channel, let me just, take that forward and say, till 10, let's say 15 years back, you only had standalone pharmacies. Even the retail chains in pharmacies, they didn't quite work out. Today you see, omni-channel, retail, and you find people who are traditionally you won't associate, like, Amazon, Flipkart. What do you see is the future of this business? Who is going to be there? And, you can see a lot of convergence in many industries. Do you see convergence here, or do you see, everyone's going to be there and they're going to have their unique spaces because of the unique advantages they bring?
Yeah, I think it's a big market. Unfortunately, the healthcare burden in India, is actually rising. So I think there's a space for everyone, but consolidation will happen in the supply chain. In the last panel as well, we saw the huge number of distributors that exist in India. So I think if you look at other countries as well, over the last decade or so, a lot of consolidation has happened especially in the distribution space. So that will continue to happen. And unique business models will involve. There will be pure digital who will be serving some part of customers' need. There will be omni-channel, and there will be purely offline, which continues to grow and gets more organized day by day.
Sure. What, Dr. Varun, what do you see as the, biggest challenge in terms of last mile delivery of medicine?
I think to just answer this point, you mentioned that last mile technology brings accessibility, affordability, and one of the things it also brings is traceability, right? Traceability is very, very critical, because if you ask me, one thing which can entirely solve the pharma distribution challenge is stop the cash payments. If you stop the cash transactions between A, B, C, chemist, pharmacist, distributor, your counterfeit would go down, because traceability is the challenge. So and I'm connecting it to the challenge is that it has to grow with the other industry. It cannot go in isolation, right? So digital public health infrastructure coming in would facilitate, and the faster it would come, it is equivalent to saying UPI coming in, then Paytms and Google Pays of the world taken to the next level. So NHA working on digital health platform, if it comes up and it takes off, then the entire healthcare transaction would be at a different level.
Absolutely, I think the great point you make, and I think, just like you have an enabler coming through things like UPI, Kamalpreet, do you think that, you also see consolidation on the pharmacy side with chains and things like that happening? Do you see therefore that it's going to become a big players game, or is there going to be place for smaller players? Because it's easier, let's say, I would just think, for Flipkart to work through a chain becomes easier. I'm just taking an example of Flipkart, but for anybody else in that, a Swiggy, Instamart, or whoever else. Yeah. Do you think that's what will happen?
No, I think, so while, the retail segment is also quite unorganized, so there will be some consolidation happening. But talking about platforms like Flipkart, right? So we actually work with all the retail players out there, right? So we don't have a retail pharmacy of our own. We are a pure marketplace, right? In fact, we want to enable more organized chains coming up. Whoever is solving for the customer first, right? That is where we intend to partner with, right? So I think players like Flipkart or other, e-commerce technology players will enable a lot of, these organized offline pharmacies becoming digital, right? So that will happen.
Do we have any student questions? Yeah, please. We can have both questions go. Somebody will have to take a mic around. Do you want to take this? Yeah. While the mic goes around, let me just follow it up with a question, to you. While the mic goes around is, there is no specific regulation right now around e-pharmacies, right? Is compliance an issue, or do you think regulation coming in will open it up because it will become much more clearer?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a good question. And see, everyone wants clarity, right? And I think whenever that happens, it will actually be an enabler for digital or e-pharmacies, right? So I think a lot of progress has happened in that domain already, and hopefully soon, we'll have those regulations which will actually, I think, put all ambiguity to fray.
Sure. So let's take the first question.
Yes. Thank you so much for the session, sir. I have one very easy question. So the thing is, you mentioned we want the delivery to the end point, and there are 2 points we want to address. One is convenience, and the second is access to it. I want to ask, I have 2 questions. First question is, we are talking about digitalization, right? There itself, we are kind of making a barrier. Digitalization itself is a barrier, sometimes I feel, because it is dividing people. Like, we are not talking about making people technically competent for it. So how the companies are addressing that, because we are taking everything to be a digital platform, but we are not training them to use it. Second thing, sir, is we are not talking about the vulnerable population. The 2 main categories I am very interested in are PWDs and plus LGBTQ communities. Offline also we are not taking care of them, and online also I don't know what are the plans for future. Thank you, sir.
I don't think that technology is, I think technology is an enabler. So for example, in case of 1mg, when I was there, so we had this technology infrastructure to improve the access in the villages. We partnered with something called as CSC. CS is Common Service Centers. That's a government scheme where all the talukas are run by, it is a G2C service, that government to consumer services are digitized. So you want to get an Aadhaar card done, you go to your nearby shop, which is a CSC, Common Service Center, and you use Common Service Center's technology infrastructure to go back and take your Aadhaar card print, right? So similarly, we kind of integrated our digital infrastructure with Common Service Center's infrastructure. So the access point became 1,60,000 touch points in villages, talukas, every small taluka, right? So that's, I think, I go back to that point why I refer to CoWIN. I'm saying that that's the healthcare service delivery model for future, that touch points, you can have multiple touch points, physical or digital touch points, but the backend remains the same. So that is how the pharmacy would also happen. And so,
to the next question, I think talking about inclusivity, right, especially for the vulnerable group, I think, see, healthcare is an ecosystem play. No one chain in the value system can solve for healthcare. I think that is why there's a need for everyone, right from, let's say, manufacturers to marketers to distributors to retail chains to technology platforms to come together and solve for accessibility for these vulnerable groups. Because if you really go deep, right, there are certain programs which are catering to certain niche segments, and they're actually doing quite well. But a lot of people still are not aware about it, right? So that is where I think a lot of awareness needs to be done, and that's where government can also play a very big role, right? Especially what we've seen with Jan Aushadhi, right? It is massively taking up. It's a great initiative. But because awareness is increasing, that is why, you'll see more, inclusion, more people taking advantage of that service. So I think that is where all of us need to come together and work towards creating that awareness.
We can have a quick question, but short, quick.
Yeah, I'll be quick. Okay. See, I mean, the medicines are prescribed by the doctor. Why are you people missing the doctor, or why are you not including the doctor in your scheme of things? Okay. That's one thing. Second thing is, are you, I mean, these platforms, e-delivery platforms, medicine platforms, catering for government institutions? Are you on GEM portal?
Okay.
So yeah, quick. I think, so the journey is not the pharmacy platforms. Now, as Kamal mentioned, they are not just the platform. There are many companies have their own physical stores and the distribution centers and everything. The journey starts with a prescription. The journey starts with the prescription of a doctor. Prescription of a doctor comes to the platform. It gets digitized. Based on the prescription of the doctor, the dispensing happens at the physical store. And the technology or the e-pharmacy is an interface where consumer can interact, and this messaging from the consumer can be transmitted to a physical store. So every dispensation in the entire value chain always happens from a physical space. So when we say sometimes we imagine that it is in somewhere digital, but dispensing happens in the physical space, and the journey starts by validating, scanning the prescriptions. And just I'll take 30 seconds, that would be interesting for upcoming budding doctors. We had this project where we created a cross-functional team of doctors, data scientists, and engineers and product managers. We said, can we decipher the prescription of a handwriting of a doctor, right? We all know handwriting of a doctor is, with all due respect, I'm a doctor, I'm a medical doctor, my father is a doctor, but all due respect, that's handwriting is, so then an engineer from IIT said, sir, we have so much technologies, NLPs, AIs of the world, we'll be able to decipher this, we will be able to do that. So cross-functional team was, for 3-6 months, they were just looking at the data and went to this level that this doctor, particular doctor, when he writes A, what is the style of writing A? Can we just replicate to this individual doctor, and we can then match the data to say that A and his specialty, he would write these medicines, right? And to this patient, so all this triangulation technology can do and can help the digitization of the digitization of the prescription. This team could not do, we were not able to take it to the production because the end result was not good. But what happened was, a lot of these learnings were implemented into the digitization of the prescription. The time to digitize prescription went down from, let's say, 10 minutes to 1.5 minutes. So all those learnings went back to that. So all these smaller problems which cross-functional teams are solving, I think that they are doing a lot of value creation in the ecosystem. And I see that next 10 years would be a confluence of what people have done in the physical spaces, what people have done in the digital spaces, how will come together and bring a new model of care. And this is one of the examples of unique model of access to healthcare. Yeah.
So I'll just borrow the mic. So I'm just going to do one last question to each of you. This is going to be a concluding question, and in the concluding question, so we are already a minute beyond time. In the concluding question, you can also add a one-liner as a takeaway for students. So the concluding question I have, for you, Kamal, is I would imagine that e-pharmacies, particularly for last mile delivery, would have got a major fillip during COVID. What's happening post-COVID? That's my question, and you can end it with whatever advice you want to give to the students.
Sure. Yes, so I think during COVID, that was just quite a stressful time for all the stakeholders in the supply chain, right? And that is where I think true spirit in the ecosystem came out, where everyone stepped together beyond what they were actually doing to come together to actually solve for the customer, right? And that is when, because of the virus spreading, a lot of state-wise restrictions, people had no option but to turn online for healthcare, basic healthcare, delivery of medicines, COVID sample testing, we saw how there was a huge demand for it. And that is where a lot of customers got exposed to e-pharmacy, right? While e-pharmacy has been there for the last decade or so, but that was where a lot of influx of new customers happened, right? But now, thankfully, with COVID gone and, markets returning back to normal, that is where I think the true model of omni-channel has emerged. So what we have realized is that digital and offline cannot operate independently, right? So, and even in customers, there is no differentiation, right? Digital and offline will always be existing together. It is just at that point of time, what the customer needs is, the choice happens, right? So that is the learning coming out of COVID, and I think new models of healthcare will emerge in the near future. But all existing models, whether it be omni-channel, digital, offline, will continue to remain.
Yeah. Last question to you is, what according to you are some international best practices in last mile delivery of medicines? I understand, I don't mean from a sense that they can directly be replicated here, but some international best practices that would make sense for us to look at while, we are designing our last mile delivery systems. And you could end it again with your advice to the kids.
I think one of the best practices and problem to be solved, which we can replicate from other countries, is the last mile delivery of cold chain medicines which require the cold chain, or which require the temperature sensitivity is required. So for example, insulin requires a particular temperature, it needs to be maintained. Now what is happening with that is, there is a manufacturer, as the previous panel was discussing, the entire value chain. As a customer, I want transparency on when did it leave the factory, what time it was at the distributor, at what time it was at the retail shop, and when it was delivered to me, what was the temperature during the transit, right? Or in between. And there are models which developed countries have, that all these cold chain medicines, the entire distribution from manufacturer to customer is being tracked using IoT devices, and being communicated to the users also, giving that kind of transparency that, look, this is what has happened in the drug delivery, which is, I think, we can adopt those best practices. And the, I think, message to the students would be that if I'm in the hindsight, if I look at my medical education, first year, second year, I think digital is a way of thinking. That is what I've learned. If I go back, digital is a way of thinking. How do you create structures, SOPs, which can be replicated, can be used for multiple other things? And I think if we start bringing that thought process in our day-to-day medical life, as doctors, you can do a lot of value addition. I think that's what is being required because you are going to be delivering care to the patients. So your digital first thinking would help deliver that care consistently at a higher quality. That would be my message. Yeah.
Superb. I'm sure you'll agree that we have, two fantastic panelists here talking about something that's relatively new, cutting edge, So why don't we give both our panelists a big round of applause? My two bit of advice to specifically to the medical students is that technology now is omnipresent. And therefore in the technology, I'll just expand on what he's saying. In technology, there are three things that you have to know. And I think the good part is you can see that there's a doctor here who works in the interface between technology and medicine. Today, that's not a choice. Every doctor has to be cognizant of three technologies outside clinical and medical technologies. And those three are, one is digital, and be, understand digital and be kind of, a digital native if you can. The second is understand data, because data is playing a massive role today in medicine, especially when you combine data and genomics together. The kind of, the multiplier effect is just phenomenal. And third, the one is, it's a combination of data and then artificial intelligence. So I think all of you should be playing around a little bit with some of this generative AI, because I think it's going to be very important in every discipline, including medicine. With that, sorry that we are around 5 minutes beyond time. I hope you can indulge in us for that. Thank you.
The discussion that we just witnessed was indeed eye-opening and informative for us all. We are very grateful to the panelists for their impactful views. Now, we invite Dr. Satish Babu, Director, Quality and Academics, Sri Madhusudan Sai Institute of Medical Sciences and Research, to present our token of gratitude to the panel members. Dr. Varun Gupta. Mr. Kamalpreet Saluja. Dr. Ajit Parulekar. We now request all the panel members to pose for a group photograph. With this, we come to the end of today's technical sessions. Tea and snacks will be served at the rear end of the hall. We request everyone to be seated at 5:45 for today's evening cultural programs. Thank you.